The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. My first guest today is Desiree Arian-Neville. Hi, Desiree.
Hi, Judy.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about your fabulous business called Your Eye on Photo.
Yes.
I love it. And we're going to talk specifically about your 50 over 50 project. Okay.
My ongoing project.
Yeah,
now.
so tell us about it.
So Your Eye on Photo is celebrating 20 years in business this year.
Awesome.
So I'm the proud owner and photographer at my studio, at my portrait studio, Your Eye on Photo. And it is an absolute, and has been for a long time for me, an absolute passion to discover and bring that, to show people how beautiful they really are, show them the beauty that I see in them in front of my camera, even if they're camera shy.
Yeah.
A lot of people say they don't want to be in camera, but I can work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And what made you get into photography?
Oh my goodness, I'm a rare breed. I'm a trained photographer. I went to photo school way back when. Excuse me. I went to photo school way back when. And you are trained in photo school to do all kinds of photography, from architecture to beauty to product to everything. And eventually you kind of narrow it down to what you really like to do.
Okay.
And in 2005, I became a people photographer as opposed to doing everything, including commercial.
Yeah.
And in 2016, I specialized, or actually I trained some more to study how to light and pose specifically women and children. And that's what I am accredited with the Professional Photographers of Canada.
Yeah.
And so photographing women has become a passion of mine when the project that I'm going to talk about in a moment started me going on this is when I turned 50. When I turned 50, something funny happened and I started feeling invisible. I started feeling like I didn't matter, like I was doing the grind every day and no one cared, no one noticed, no one saw me, no one talked to me. So, and I hear a lot of women say that when you turn 50, you feel like you're becoming invisible. And that's my 50 over 50 project. So I had a product called Red Carpet Portraits, which is makeover and photo shoot. So we do a consult before, I prepare you, your wardrobe, and you come in and you have the studio to yourself for 4 hours and you get your hair and makeup done professionally. And while you're in the chair, we line up all your clothes that you're going to wear and accessorize with everything. And we have clothes at the studio you can borrow from. And when you're ready, you come out, get in your first outfit, and you parade in all those different outfits. And I guide you through posing and through everything to the point where you forget there's a camera, and then you become really you. You become vulnerable. You become who you really are. And then I capture that on in photos for you, and as something that you can keep forever. So I took that project and I made a kind of a campaign with it. I took that kind of photography and made a campaign with it. I called it 50 over 50. So I'm going to photograph 50 women over the age of 50 or 50s plus. And at the end of the campaign, we're going to publish a magazine. Each participant will have her own page in there. And we're going to have a get-together where all the participants will meet each other. And I'm doing this to bring that demographic to light and to help all these women feel seen and heard.
Oh, that's so nice. I really like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you mentioned that, after you turned 50, you kind of felt invisible. Was that just in general, or were you working in a corporate setting or in business? Like, where did that come from?
No, when I came 50, it's funny, like everything happened at the same time. Of course, menopause, and then there's that.
Yeah.
Then I had a brain aneurysm. Then I had macular holes in my eyes. So I had all of these stops in between during my 20 years. And it was traumatic. It was traumatic. And I was coming out of that. And during the time that my eyes weren't functioning, I was seeing life going around me without me. And that's, some people say you become depressed. Yeah, you do, but I like to call it you feel suppressed, like you're erased. Like everything keeps going on without you. No one needs you. So after my eyes were very gratefully and happily repaired, and I was able to work again, I wanted to do something for myself to get that validation back, to feel like a woman again, to feel like a human being again, and to be seen. I wanted to be seen again. So I booked a photo shoot for myself. And I knew it was going to make me feel better, but I didn't expect the boost of confidence. Like I was walking tall. I was feeling seen. So that's what prompted me to do this makeover and photo shoot, because of what it did for me.
So are you finding a lot of women have very similar stories of like not being seen or going through trauma or something like that? Going
out of trauma, cancer survivors. I have a few cancer survivors who participated in the project already. People who, getting to 50 is a milestone.
Yes.
Getting to 60 to 70, it's a milestone. So we celebrate, right? So anyone who, so I have all kinds of people in this project already. The window is closing, so we're cutting this in June. So we're accepting applications until June 30th, and we have about 20 spots left. But I have women who simply wanted to celebrate, women who had gone through something very traumatic in their lives and survived it, and they are also celebrating. So can't wait for a celebration in September.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Yeah. So you actually have to apply for this.
You apply for it because we need to determine that you qualify to be in the project, because it's also especially priced. It's a better pricing than the normal photo shoot because it's part of that community.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you also have clothing there.
We do. We have studio wardrobe. And so before you do your photo shoot, we always have a consultation. We do it via video. And then we talk about your preferences, how you see yourself, what your story is, how I can portray you, how I can bring that woman. And at the same time, we start to get to know each other already before the day of the photo shoot. And so we talk about the wardrobe, and based on your preferences, your size, the colors you like, your style, and all this, I already know what I'm going to put aside for you. So when you come in on the day of the photo shoot and you sit in the chair, there will be clothes from the studio that you will have wanted to borrow or may want to borrow, and then you bring your own clothes. It could be all your clothes, it could be all our clothes, or it could be a combination of the two. Yeah. And we have accessories, we have crowns, we have, we have all kinds
I
of
would
stuff
grab a crown,
at the
because
studio.
I would say I'm a queen, so.
Exactly, we have crowns for our queens, yes.
Okay. I really like that, the clothing part of it, because that has, I'm not going to say always, but that has sometimes been a barrier for me going to get photos, because it's like, what am I going to wear? I don't know what looks like. I'm very much a casual Lululemon wearing type of girl, right? So, like going out, it's just like, oh my gosh, got to go get more dress pants or a blouse or, an outfit.
We like to do it glam. We want to do it glam because we don't do that very often. So if you have a dress that's hiding in your closet that you've been just wanting to wear, dying to wear, bring it out and come on out for a photo shoot, because you never get to wear it. Even if you already wore it once, you probably only wore it once. So things like that. If not, we have gowns at the studio. So we start with dresses, and we progress towards the glam, and then at the end we play even with feathers and petals and
fascinators,
hats. So it's a lot of fun.
Good.
What girl doesn't like that, right?
No, I like it. So what's the difference between your red carpet portraits and your 50 over 50 project?
So that's a good question, because a lot of people get confused. I get so excited talking about this, I forget that people don't know all the details. So the red carpet portrait is the experience. It's the makeover and photo shoot session. So even if you're not 50, or if you're younger than 50, or the 50 over 50 is for everybody else from 50 up. But if you're younger than 50 and you like that to have that experience, you can book a red carpet photo shoot, which is the makeover and photo shoot. We do the consult. You have access to our wardrobe and all that. That's all the same thing. So I took this genre of photography and I built that project with it to bring our demographic out to light. And the project is called 50 over 50.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
All right.
Yeah.
This is, and it sounds like a really fabulous project. Because I remember when I first heard of it, it was before I turned 50. Right. And I thought, okay. And then after I turned 50, I was just like, do I want to do this? As I said, for me, like a lot. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna look at this now. I really want to do it, especially seeing some of your gorgeous photos here. I've seen a couple of people that I recognize, and you do really beautiful work.
Thank you. This is on top of the experience and everything. First of all, it's going to be an absolute memorable experience for you.
Yeah.
You're going to, every time you look at those photos that you have, you're going to remember the experience. But then you get to keep the products as well.
Yeah.
And you put them on your coffee table. You can share them. You can gift some. You can gift some to your husband, to your partner, to your mom and dad, or to your kids.
Yeah.
So it's multi-level.
Yeah.
And the way they come is they go right into a frame on your wall because they're a 7 by 10 and an 11 by 14 mat. So it goes right into a frame on your wall, and then you can just change them up every now and again.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's a great concept. What kind of challenges have you faced with this type of a business?
I've been 20 years, like I said, so a lot of that's how you learn, right? So I've had back in the day no shows, like people who would book and you've got your team there and then they don't show up. So now I make sure that we get compensated for showing up if the person doesn't show up, things like that. The normal day to day. I do have a hair and makeup artist at the studio now, which I used to do the hair and makeup, and that was a big challenge because it was the whole day. So it was by the time I got to the photos, my energy wasn't as crisp, let's say, as so I like to have the hair and makeup artist do her work, and we have professionals working with us, and I try to get people to do behind the scenes as well. It's challenging to be a solopreneur, as you know. And so the team is growing, and hopefully it'll keep growing and have people do other things. That is my biggest challenge, is to have to wear all the hats in my business.
Okay, it sounds like you're building a good team.
Yes, we have good people.
Yeah. So, what words of wisdom do you have for anyone going into business?
Oh my goodness, Networking is really important. I've built a big network here in Durham, and I was telling someone earlier, there are groups that I won't leave even after I retire because now I have friends there. Yeah. Also, work from the heart. Yeah. I feel that my best work is always when I work from the heart. Sometimes you hear people tell you, you should do this, you should do that. And if you're new in business, follow your heart. There are things you should do to frame the business. The structure is important. You put your structure down, but it's super important to work from the heart. If you serve from the heart, you're going to be happy, and your clients are going to be happy.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Judy.
And I wish you luck in your project.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you there.
Yes, you will. Okay, stay tuned. We'll be speaking with Melissa Godley next.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity. connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
In baseball, there's nothing more important than making it home.
George Springer has tied the game.
Doesn't matter how you get there.
It's gone!
But I do it with style.
Boy, has he got some kind of power.
And a little swagger, too.
Because no matter where you happen to be,
Oh, what a play!
There's only one place.
Got it!
Jays fans call home.
Sportsnet. Sportsnet.
Sportsnet.
Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. My next guest today is Melissa Godley, owner of Under Advisement. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. So tell us about your business, Under Advisement. What type of business is that?
So there's actually two components.
Okay.
The first one being HR and operations for small business within Durham region.
Yeah.
So everything from what it sounds like, hiring, training, health and safety. I even do things like when the Ministry of Labor comes in for an investigation, I can take care of that for them. Writing handbooks, that sort of thing. And then the other side is helping job seekers. Currently, when you apply for a job, everybody knows it's all done online. But in the last few years especially, it's being done by application tracking systems that are run by artificial intelligence, AI. So in order to get seen by human eyes, you have to have your resume set up a certain way, and that's what I help people with.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And that's probably a very busy business for you right now.
It is simply because people are contacting me and saying, I've put out 30, 50, 75 applications, not heard a single thing. And it's because it even comes right down to the fact that you have to have a certain font.
Yeah.
The structure that it's set up, there's keywords and things like that. You're allotted points every application. So getting the most out of your resume with those points is what we do.
Okay. So on the small business side, do you offer? Well, first of all, let's talk about why you got into this business. Yeah, why would you start an HR business?
So it actually started a few years ago when I had friends who were getting out onto their own, and were kind of at a loss. They knew that they wanted to start their own business, weren't quite sure how. So I started right from the very get-go, getting the business number, getting their books set up, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, they would need to hire either a part-time person, get a co-op student, all that kind of thing. So with my background, as much as I've been doing it for the last 30 years, that's why it came into play. And I just really want to help people be successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from personal experience, I know that having your own HR department is very, it's crucial. It's very much needed. So, because I ran a business, I no longer have, I sold it last year, but I ran a business where I had staff and, issues would come up. And, I'd maybe, one staff didn't work out and I'd have to let them go. So there's a process to follow. And I did have an HR company that I was working with, but it was a lot. It was very costly and I didn't need them all the time. So how does your business differ from a company like that?
And that's another part of the reason why I got into it. Consulting, as much as there's wonderful consultants out there, is quite pricey.
Yeah.
Or even like the higher end HR firms. I do everything a la carte. First of all, we always have a free consultation to see what it is you need. And then it's an hour, 3 hours, whether that's this month, 6 months down the road. It's whatever your business needs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Not be a millionaire, as much as that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are a la carte businesses beneficial for for small business owners?
Mainly because, as you said, you don't need somebody all the time. So just knowing that you can pick up the phone and saying, hey, this week I need a health and safety policy. Next week I need you to do an advertisement, get me some resumes for a part-time person. Or even companies that have, say, 20 plus employees, but not a full-time HR person all the time.
Yeah.
Can you come and do our health and safety training? Things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what type of businesses do your clients have?
So I'm sure they don't mind me saying currently I have a property management company. I have a moving company. I have a health care agency as well as a child care center. Oh, okay. So essentially, whoever needs me.
Yeah.
And everything and in between.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
What kind of, you've been in the industry for a long time. What kind of challenges have you faced running this type of a business?
Well, actually, funny you should mention that because I get alerts and things like that. So there's going to be quite a few changes coming to the Employment Standards Act between July and next January.
Okay.
And a lot of it is for small business.
Oh, okay.
So, those challenges, not only for me to keep up to date, but for other people that don't necessarily know where to look or to get those types of alerts.
Okay.
Always evolving legalities and legislation and things like that. So I have to make sure I always keep up on it.
Yeah. And it is a lot to keep up with.
It is.
Yeah. So I'm really big on scaling your business, with, systems, processes, and a team. And the way I ran my business, it was a legit business, and I had contracts and everything in place. What do you have to say for those businesses, or what words of advice would you give to businesses who just kind of hire someone off the street and they don't have it set up properly? Like, what are the risks that come with that?
So first of all, one of the things that I always tell people is to make sure that it's beneficial to hire somebody right off the hop.
Okay.
Ultimately, whatever you feel that you're going to be paying them in either hourly wage or salary, you need to double that in sales before you do it, or it doesn't make financial sense.
Good advice.
And the other thing is making sure that you have the bare minimums in place, making sure that you know that you have an employment agreement, which is actually one of the changes coming for January of next year. Making sure that they have their tax forms done, that you have a specific way of paying them. You can pay employees by things like e-transfers and stuff, but you just have to have that in writing in their employment agreement so that it's all spelled out that this is how things go through the process. But yeah, just making sure you have the bare minimum covered. Don't have to have an employee handbook for one person, things like that, but you do have a few policies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many employees would you say you should or would have to have before it makes sense to have a handbook?
Typically 4 or more.
Okay.
And even before then, you're more than welcome to have something like a handbook for less employees, because ultimately you're giving them the best tools to succeed. Right?
Okay.
And showing them that you are confident in them and you're caring about them.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of employee engagement these days.
Okay.
Is making sure that they know they're valued.
Yeah.
They're not just somebody doing grunt work.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of info would go in a handbook?
Who to contact if there's sick or absenteeism, the health and safety, the coverage that they have, like WSIB, workplace violence. That's a huge one because it doesn't just cover people within your company and your fellow colleagues. It also, the public at large and subcontractors, things like that. That's a big one. Unfortunately, we're living in times where things happen, so we want to make sure they know what to do in those instances.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, there is a lot of value. I mean, for me, I had a handbook for my business, but everyone, I had some employees, but I also had mostly independent contractors, so it didn't really it didn't really apply. Like even having your occupational health and safety, your WSIB sign that you're supposed to post in the workplace, and it's like, well, I don't have a physical building. I had the sign, but
yeah. So if you still want to follow those sorts of things, that's something you can incorporate on your website. You can have an employee-only section of your website, and you can have the health and safety board on that.
Oh, good, good point.
Yep.
So, how do you balance, work and life, and kid activities and all that?
I'm lucky that I have a wonderful partner to begin with.
Good.
He's more than willing to pick up the slack. Doesn't cook necessarily, but and I have a wonderful network. My parents, friends, things like that. They're more there for my stress relief. Going out for a coffee with your friends or things like that is good. And I'm a huge taskless person. I have all my tasks on a list, and it's so satisfying when you strike one off, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I'm actually going to be doing a fundraiser for the resume rating of AI for the Bowmanville fire victims. I'm going to be doing that. I'm still trying to get down. I need a facility, so where we can do it out of there, and all the money will go towards them. And my one client, can I say on the move?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so on the move, my one client, we're building the rest of his business too, and that's really exciting.
Yeah.
This is one of the industries I hadn't been in.
Oh, okay.
So he's teaching me a lot. I'm teaching him the other side of things. And it's exciting to see somebody grow, and he's growing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's good. And that's a moving company.
It is.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, you just gave him a shout out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why. Thank you.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah.
What words of advice would you have for someone who's starting? Well, actually, I'll make it a two-part question.
Okay.
Someone who's starting a business and they're thinking of implementing a team.
Sit down and make sure you know that you have strategic goals. You can't just go from 0 to 60 in 3 months, right? You have to figure out all the things: financing, physical location if you need it, the handbooks, things like that. So you would definitely want to have a consultation with somebody who does help you figure out the moving forward part. Whether that's a business coach or someone in the human resources section, and just make it so that you're not going to not achieve what you want. Okay. We're all very hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And want to make sure that it's quantifiable, achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in 30 seconds, words of advice or wisdom for anyone starting a business in general.
Just make sure you dot all your I's and cross your T's. There's a lot of checklists and things like the Business Advisory Council of Durham, who can help you get things put in place, and just make sure that you are doing all of your due diligence.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great conversation.
Thanks.
And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on another episode of At the Heart of Business.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol,